Hey YouTube, Awesome Writer here. Welcome to my annual series of videos, this one being Super Sentai related, of what I want to see out of each franchise for the year. So this one is the top 5 things I want to see out of Sentai in 2022. I feel like I'm going to accidentally say 2021 at sometimes, but this is kind of a loose list. It is kind of a numbered top 5, but it's also kind of loosely structured. Let's go ahead and start at the bottom with number 5 this is kind of more of a, not necessarily I really want to see this, but I wouldn't mind seeing it, is more returns movies. And that may sound weird coming from me, but I don't mean team up, a bunch of randos team up and stand next to each other and fight over idiotic misunderstandings. I mean like Gokaiger Returns, Zeka Ranger Returns, like movies where it's just about the returning cast, because that was always one of my favorite things of the old Sentai versus movies, is to kind of get an epilogue, what's going on now with the last year's team, and this of course would be like a 10 years team. But these movies tend to usually be pretty good. I really like the Gokaiger one, and it doesn't have to revolve around a bunch of team up crap. And I would really love to see some of those, because they're usually the more quality Sentai movies for me, so I would not mind seeing like maybe Go Busters or something, or I don't know, Abba Ranger, any of them. Like, they'll probably line it up with an anniversary, but if they did more of those, I wouldn't be mad, because I do like those sort of catching up with the old team type of movies. Now, number 4 is I want to see the toys be more exciting and higher quality. I felt the Zenkaiger line was very lackluster. Obviously, it did well for them because they're carrying over elements from that to Dawn Brothers, but for me, just the experience of collecting it felt very dialed back. It felt very lackluster, very few and far between. It seems like Dawn Brothers is having a lot more merchandise, and the quality of the toys, I think it's probably a cost-saving measure because Sentai's not making as much money anymore, but they just felt to be, you know, I hate to use such a $10 word, but poopy. They felt awful. Again, this isn't a dig at the Bandai Mecha, because for the price of $20, I thought they were good. But they felt like that more cheaper plastic quality. And, you know, usually when you buy a Sentai mech, you have that feeling of like, oh, this is worth importing. But this felt like, ugh. And I just felt the general presence and quality of the Sentai toys was lacking in Zenkaiger for me. And I want to be excited by collecting the toys again, and I want them to at least feel halfway worth the money I spent on them. And number 3, the word is balance. I really want them to find a balance between the sort of new quirky tone they're going for with Zenkaiger and Dawn Brothers and some more good storytelling. I feel like when the fandom talks about Sentai, there's always 2 extremes. There's, it's a kid show, you have to enjoy it, them shrieking in your faces is fun! And then there's the, Sentai is a serious show for adults, it needs to be dark and bloody and gory like Sentai should be. And there's never, like, in between. I very rarely see in between. Because Sentai is not a serious show for adults because they stood next to beer and they allow blood down their cheeks. They can get away with stuff sometimes more, but it's never been a serious show for adults. But it has leaned a little bit more silly lately. And I'm more so just looking for a balance. I think Zenkaiger had it sometimes, where it was a silly a lot of the time, but it did surprise me with having some story beats, but I felt they were rather generic. And since we're going into a series that's going to look rather similar, I'd like to see more of a balance between storytelling I can invest in, not necessarily serious and gritty, but storytelling I can invest in, and some of the more silly fun. And I just want to see the different tones represented, because the thing is with Zenkaiger, the thing that can be exhausting about the idea of Dawn Brothers continuing it isn't even so much the idea of them continuing the silliness. It's just one of the nice things about Sentai is if you don't like what you're seeing, they refresh every year, and if we have to serve another sentence with the same thing, it's going to feel exhausting. So I just want to see them strike a better balance in the future, just going forward in terms of tones. Number 2 for me is I'd like to see more of a true shakeup. This may sound silly to you because you think of how Zenkaiger looks so weird and Dawn Brothers looks so weird, and it's definitely a bigger aesthetic change-up than we've gotten in years. But as I've talked about in previous videos, especially surrounding Dawn Brothers, you know, Dawn Brothers has not aired yet as of me recording this video, so who knows? It could be completely different. But I want to see Sentai more structurally change up and actually feel different, because now that we're almost done with Zenkaiger, like, yeah, it looked different, but it's the same old crap. And I'm fearing that Dawn Brothers will be the same thing, where it gives this false impression of being different because they look different, but it's the same song and dance. And I know that they like a lot of their formulas and stuff, but just because something's always done that way isn't a good reason to keep doing something. And I'm not saying change it forever, but every once in a while it would be nice for them to make more of a change that makes the actual meat and potatoes of the show feel different and not just the coating of paint. That's what I would like to see. My number 1 pick of what I would like to see is probably not going to happen this year because it's already happening in Dawn Brothers, but I don't want to see us following into the pattern of becoming reliant on past Sentai and nods and all that crap. Obviously, they're doing it with Dawn Brothers. They're continuing the aesthetic of the anniversary and using the Sentai gears. And I think there was an interview, I guess, someone mentioned to me that they said they're going to rely on more of their past. And I just don't want that for Sentai's future. I get far more annoyed by this than I do the MMPR Love Fest we get with Power Rangers. I'm just so tired of the anniversary aspects and celebrations, and it's taken something that was so cool and special and exciting, and it has run it into the ground and set it on fire. And I think we need to take a break from it. Again, it's obviously working for them, but in my dream world, if I could say one thing I want for Sentai, is that after this, I'd like us to just cool it for a while and not become reliant on it. I don't follow Ultraman, but I'm loosely familiar with it, and I know they do this a lot, and I don't want to see them become that. I don't want to see every season incorporate designs and changes and gimmicks that have to do with the old stuff. I don't mind them doing it down the road, but let's make Sentai team-ups an anniversary special again. But that is it for my list. I want to know your list. As always, let me know what you want to see from Sentai in 2022 and beyond. Let me know in the comments. As always, until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you get notifications for my videos. Dawson Ryder, signing out.